This is John Kohler with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. Today I'll be answering your guys' questions. I apologize I can't answer any questions directly. There's one of me and I have over 1 million different subscribers on different YouTube channels. And so if you have a question that you would like me to potentially answer for next month, I'll post a link down my community tab that you can post your question there, and it may be selected for next month's Q&A. In any case, to introduce myself, for those of you guys that don't know, I'm John Kohler, and I've been eating a raw living foods diet. Started in 1995 for 28 years now, a lot longer than most YouTubers that have been promoting a raw vegan diet online. I try to think of myself as being not dogmatic and not stuck in the box of only being raw vegan. I do introduce some small amounts of high quality, minimally heat processed foods into my diet, as well as diversifying my diet with lots of different kinds of grains and beans, things other than fruits and vegetables. So I want to encourage you guys to eat a more balanced diet and not restrict so much. The more you restrict, the more problems you guys could have in the long run, is what I like to say. Anyways, let's get into today's questions. The first question is from JR Jensen Friends 7179. Hi John, do adding activated charcoal to green juices help with heavy metal detoxification? I heard charcoal is a #1 longevity substance in animals. All right, so first thing is I would never recommend adding charcoal to your green juices. Why? So like in my house, I have a whole house water filter, and the water that comes in from the city gets pushed through the water filter, which has a carbon filter in it. The carbon filter in it is there to remove the impurities, remove the chemicals, and remove some of the minerals in there. Now, it doesn't remove all the minerals, but removes some of the minerals. And so if you put charcoal in your green juice, it may basically latch on to some of the nutrients in the green juice, and then you will not get the benefits of the green juice, in my opinion. So if you did want to consume charcoal, you may just want to take it straight, or maybe just mix it in some plain water. I wouldn't necessarily mix it with green juices. The other question is, will the charcoal help with heavy metal detoxification? So, I'm going to say that if I wanted to do heavy metal detoxification, I wouldn't just take charcoal. Charcoal can be great to detoxify many things. If you're hospitalized and you took too many medicines, they'll basically leave you charcoal to swallow, and then the charcoal, while it's in your stomach, will absorb different kinds of medicines and toxins in your gut. But I don't know how the charcoal is going to get outside your gut, go through all your body, and then absorb all the toxins magically, and then escort them out of the body. So what I would do is I would do more time-proven methods of detoxification, heavy metals. I mean, chelation therapy is like a legit thing. You guys could look into that. Also, I would just simply juice more cilantro and get more chlorella. Those also can be used for heavy metal detoxification and have a good solid track record. Next question is from Plants on Purpose. A lot of studies show that soy is beneficial to prevent certain cancers. I wonder if a fully raw diet or a diet with the addition of some soy is better. Also, my teeth seem to become transparent when I eat fully raw and wonder what nutrients I may be missing. Love all the content. Peace. Keep it coming. So the question is about soy. Is soy good or bad? And yes, that is a huge question. I absolutely believe that GMO soy is bad and it should not be consumed, especially if it's like Roundup Ready soy. It's sprayed the heck with Roundup, which then can cause microbiome problems for you guys. That being said, I do believe including soy, which is once again a bean, and its different healthful properties, including different kinds of resistant starch and fiber that are in there that are unique to soy, can be beneficial for us and should not be excluded. I tried to eat soy sprouts once and I vomited violently. It was not fun. Maybe that's why I don't like soursop, because that day I was in Hawaii, I ate like soursop and soybean sprouts. Ate them both and I was just like vomiting, puking my brains out, and I still have like bad memories of both those items. That being said, I do not recommend consuming soy raw. Actually, I don't even necessarily recommend consuming soy heat processed either. I recommend consuming soy how traditional cultures have done it for thousands of years, which is fermented. So my favorite ways to consume soy myself are #1, through natto. Natto will make the natto kinase. Also the vitamin K2, which can be deficient on a plant-based diet. So that's my favorite way. Second way is through tempeh. that you cook the beans and then you ferment them, so then they could still be considered alive or a live food because it's enzymatically active. And also, you know, the bacteria helps break down the beans and make them more bioavailable and get even further benefits from us, especially the poop of the bacteria, which, you know, in the case of natto is K2. There can be other different, you know, metabolites from the bacteria that can be beneficial for us. So those are the two ways that I would recommend it. Unfortunately, the tempeh that you would buy at your local health food store has been, you know, pasteurized before they sell it to you guys. I still think there's benefit to that. I would prefer tempeh that, even if it's from the health food store, that's been pasteurized over just straight cooked soybeans, because at least it has been gone to the second step of the fermentation with the bacteria that then breaks it down further, makes it more bioavailable for us. So that's my thoughts. And yeah, I think that a fully raw diet would not be as good personally as one that was, you know, very high raw and include some soy products, especially if you're a lady. And then my teeth seem to become transparent when I eat fully raw. So, you know, when you say fully raw, what exactly do you mean? You know, there's a famous YouTuber that you know, advertises fully raw, and her diet is a lot of fruits. And so if you're eating a lot of fruits generally have less minerals than leafy greens. I'm sitting in my garden, as you guys can see. I just planted out my bed of leafy greens. You know, I have things like the bok choy, the tod soy, and mustard greens that I'll be consuming all fall, winter, and into the spring. And they are really rich in trace minerals. As a matter of fact, I add 70 different trace minerals to my soil, and I spray on through a foliar feed ocean solid to, you know, get from 70 to 90 different minerals into each of my plants. They are not doing this in traditional agriculture. So, you know, when you're even buying fruits, which generally are lower in minerals than even leafy greens or vegetables, you know, it can be demineralizing, in my opinion, especially if you're eating more acidic fruits. Acidic fruits will tend to leach minerals out of you to balance out your alkalinity. So I think that it's very important, and this is what I do every day: drink a green juice. Green juice is probably one of the most alkaline foods you could eat, you know, and drink and get into with lots of different minerals that can help remineralize your teeth. Also, I would say, you know, if you're on a very restrictive, fully raw diet, like eating only fruits and vegetables and maybe low nuts and seeds and not any other foods, I would encourage you to unrestrict your diet and, you know, eat, yeah, very high raw, like I'm doing, but include some minimally heat processed foods, such as foods in the Instant Pot, especially the beans, which are so health promoting, health beneficial, maybe some grains, as well as some, you know, small amounts of high nutrient, carbohydrate rich foods. So for example, last night I had purple yam and purple sweet potato cooked in my Instant Pot. They weren't very sweet, and yes, I'd rather eat fresh high chia persimmons that I have a whole tray or two in my fridge of, but you know, I feel they are quite beneficial, not only for the anthocyanin content, and I do eat the purple ones. I don't generally eat the orange sweet potatoes, or I rarely, if ever, eat russet potatoes. I eat purple potatoes. Now available at Trader Joe's organic near you. I got a whole bunch the other day. Those are the kinds of things I would recommend to diversify your diet, get more minerals in you, and more different kinds of foods personally. Next question is from St. Pete Runner 8758. Do you have an exercise routine? You obviously stay in shape and value your health, so just curious. All right, St. Pete Runner. So I think you asked a question similar to this before. But basically, my exercise routine is I could be more structured with an exercise routine. I get out and get regular, everyday physical activity, never fail. I'm walking around my garden. When I go to stores, I usually park further away and then walk to the store, walk all around the store, check out all the different sections. You know, I like to go hiking on a local hiking trail. I take my dog for a walk pretty much every single day for 1 mile in the morning. Otherwise, he's going to pee in my house. So I got to take him, and he gets antsy if I don't take him. So I just do regular activity. Now, yes, I do need to include more cardio activity. Like I want to get back to biking. I was biking like last year. I want to get back to biking around my neighborhood. I would think I would go on like a maybe 3 to 5 mile bike ride every single day. And then for strength training, I basically like carry heavy things. So like I wash all my food in laundry sink, like it's in my garden, and then it fills up with 5-gallon buckets of water that I have to carry around with my arms or in my garden. When I go to the produce terminal and buy produce, I rarely get shopping carts unless I'm really buying a lot. I'll just lift everything up and just carry it to my car to get my exercise. So I really just love to get real world exercise, real world activity. And if we look at the blue zones, for example, you know, this is kind of what they do. They don't go to a gym. They don't, you know, work out. They just live their lives and get movement every day in their life. Okay. Next question is from Julie Jizz 8984. For avoiding EMF, most laptops don't have an Ethernet port. Use a USB to Ethernet adapter or a laptop docking station. What are your thoughts on the JRS Router? All right, Julie. So yes, both my laptops that I bought recently don't have an Ethernet port. I think it's quite sad. Older ones did. So these days I basically just use a USB to Ethernet adapter and then put my laptop always in airplane mode when I'm at home. Now, when I'm traveling, of course, I take the airplane mode off so I can connect to Wi-Fi at the hotels and in the airport and whatnot. But this is what I recommend at home because this is where you are most of the time to minimize your exposure to any kind of, you know, Wi-Fi or other signals in your house. And then what are your thoughts on the JRS Router? So for me, I have a wireless router and it's switched so I could actually turn it on and off actually through a control panel on my laptop, so I don't have to go and physically press the switch if I don't want to. In addition, I could actually activate this remotely if I want to turn Wi-Fi on in my house, and I could like monitor my security cameras and whatnot. So here's the thing, like I think that the JRS Router, if you have to have a wireless connection, is probably better than not having it. I have a friend that has to have wireless where he lives, you know, for his family because they just won't plug in everything. So that's what he got, and I believe it is helpful and does, I think I did test it, it does put out less radiation than a standard router. However, it's best to turn your router off and keep it off all the time unless you need to temporarily turn it on to use it and otherwise turn it off. So I prefer to have everything wired and not use wireless. There's some extreme situations when I'm forced to use wireless, you know, like when I have to get on my phone to post my Instagram because I've gotten lazy and I don't even have a phone adapter anymore. All right, next question is from Julie Jizz 8984 again. What's your current source for dulse and macadamia nuts? Thank you. So my source for dulse these days and my seaweeds is from Seaweed Kings. You can check them out at Seaweed Kings. I think you could also find them on eBay and also on Amazon. And then for the macadamia nuts, I still get them dehydrated from Hawaii, the best source. I think, you know, they're about $12 a pound. That being said, you know, mac nuts recently came down in price. The market like kind of like took a dive. So even at my local Sprouts Farmers Market, they're like $9.99 a pound for raw nuts. They're probably from like Africa or something, and the quality is not so good. But Dr. Paolo's Kona coffee and mac nuts, he sells them for like 12 bucks a pound. I think he might be charging shipping or something, I forget. But those are good solid nuts at a good solid price and still the highest quality I've been able to find. Next question from Julie Jizz again, 8984. What EMF meter do you recommend for me to buy? All right, the EMF meter I recommend for you to buy is the GQ EMF 390. Okay, so that's like the latest state of the art. I haven't even bought one yet because I got the older version a couple years ago. I don't regularly buy new EMF meters because, like, I mean, I checked all my stuff once and I'm good. But if you guys don't have one yet, that is the one to buy. I'll put a link down below to my Amazon shop where I basically have all my recommendations for the different products, including the EMF hats. This is not one that I wear, as well as the EMF meter. All right. Next question is from Grassroot67. If you had to live in a colder climate, e.g. London, England, how would you eat, drink, vegan diet differently? So, you know, I don't know that I'd have to change that much, actually. You know, I've visited London, England before, and, you know that there's maybe not as many, like, maybe farms in the area. I don't know. I don't really go to farmers markets when I was there. But here's the thing, like, you know, my diet is predominantly raw, 80 to 90% raw, depends on the day, time of year, and whatnot. And I visit farms like every single week in my area to source my food from them first, usually mostly fruits. And I just walk to my backyard for all my veggies. For the most part, I mean, some veggies I still buy that I don't grow, like carrots, and I don't grow a lot of like celery for juicing. I do grow celery for just snacking and eating, but not large quantities. And you know, it just kind of depends on the vegetable. So, you know, if I lived in London, England, which, you know, I think the climate would be kind of similar, maybe it gets a little bit colder in the wintertime, you know, my goal would still be to, you know, go to Asian markets. I'm sure there's Chinese markets and hopefully ethnic markets there in England, and source fruits from, surrounding countries and from Europe, and eat a wide variety of fruits. Also, I'd still be able to juice my greens. So, pretty much my diet consists of fresh vegetable juices with some fruit added in to kind of get rid of my fruit that is subpar quality. Or if I have like tons of apples that I don't like eating because they're just not that good, I'll juice them with some, celery or cucumbers or jicama. And then, so I eat those two things. And then at night, I'll have a big salad or some heat processed vegetables. Usually they're fresh from my garden, and other vegetables and tubers and beans and sometimes purple rice added in. So, I don't think that I'd have to change my diet too much. I don't really know the availability over there. I would definitely pay more for the bio or the organic foods over there. I know it can be maybe a lot more expensive and a lot more inconvenient to get. But I would network and go to local farmers markets, meet farmers, and find ones that could supply me the food that I need so I could stick on my specific diet that I'm on now. I think one of the things I might do, because I'm not sure about the availability, I mean, here in America, I could buy like anything I need, like online. I could get like my purple rice that I like. I could get different kinds of beans at the local health food store. And, the most important thing for me is varying your diet. Also trying to eat as much local as possible, but don't restrict yourself only to local foods, because that's going to restrict your diet and what you're eating. Hey, I like to have a locally based diet, especially the food that I grew myself as a predominant base, but then fill in with other high nutrient foods from literally around the world. Like I get my rice is from Thailand. It's a Jaspberry purple rice, the healthiest rice you could get. A lot of the produce is just from the local surrounding states. I grow a lot myself, of course. Some of the beans I get, unique beans, could come organic from India or other countries from around the world. So I think, in England, as a more of a first world country, you should have availability for a lot of these things. So I pretty much want everybody out there to eat a plant strong diet, rich in raw fruits and vegetables, and then small additions of minimally heat processed foods. And that's how I eat now. And I think that's, the optimal way to eat, in my opinion, at this point in time. Next question is from Figtree393. How does someone know when worm castings are ready to use, or let the worms work on it for a longer time? All right, so, like if you buy a good quality bag of worm castings, they sell worm castings and they have basically the same exact size. They look like grains of sand, right? So if you just get pure worm castings at a store and it's all worm castings, like, I think of companies that basically grow worms for bait. And, they grow worms for bait. They sell the worms for fishermen, and then they use the castings to sell. They have 100% worm casting compost they sell. It looks like little grains of sand that are all black. So that's what they optimally should look like. How do you know when they're done? Well, if you're feeding food scraps to your worms, if you don't see any food scraps anymore, right, and it looks like little grains of sand, they're done. That being said, the better worm farms basically will compost the food scraps first, and then feed the finished compost to the worms, and then harvest the worm castings along with some of the remnant compost that's left. So, I think that's perfectly fine. And I think the thing is this, right? If you have like, I don't know what kind of bin you have, but if you have a tray layer system or worms in a pile, right? Worms will go to where the food is, right? So if the worms are all hanging out at the top of the pile, that's where all the food is, they're no longer in the bottom of the pile, then you can determine the castings are done, because if there was food still there, the worms would be there, right? They generally don't like to be near the surface. They want to be a little bit further down. So yeah, that's probably what I'd tell you. All right, next question is from Mark DeBrune, 3258. Is fruit alone not good for intestinal flora? If so, why is this? So, here's the thing. I live in Las Vegas, and we have world-class buffets, and those are like where you could go in and they have foods from all around the world, right? I gotta go to one and film for you guys one of these days. But basically, no matter who you are, you go into that place, and a person from Ethiopia or China or Spain or Mexico or Bolivia, wherever you're from, you go there, you will find something you like to eat because they have so much variety, right? But say you take that same person from Ethiopia, Bolivia, or China to like a McDonald's, right? They got all the same kind of food, and like that person doesn't like it, so they end up starving, right? They don't eat because they're not going to eat it if they don't like it, right? And that's how bacteria are. So if you're only ever putting down your pie hole fruit, right, yeah, fruits are wonderful. I love fruits. They're full of a different kind of carbohydrates and fibers and vitamins and minerals. But they have a limited range of these kinds of components in the food. So if you're only ever putting fruit down your pie hole, right, think about the bacteria in your gut, right, is like the people from all around the world. And the food that you're putting in your pie hole is like the foods that you get to feed your bacteria in your gut. Some bacteria love fruits and they thrive on fruits, and they like, oh, this guy's eating fruit. So then those bacteria thrive and survive. The bacteria that maybe likes more tuberous root vegetables and inulin and things that you're not eating, or galacto-oleosaccharides in beans, or XOSs, xylo-oleosaccharides, or even human milk oleosaccharides in mother's breast milk, right? You're not feeding those things because you're only eating fruit. You're going to restrict and limit your intestinal flora. So you're going to have a reduced diversity of flora, right? There is still a lot to learn about the microbiome, but one of the things that is usually pretty consistent is that generally we want a high diversity of beneficial microbes in our gut, because each one of them have different mediation and different effects on, permeability of our gut, as well as overall long-term health benefits. Because if you have this bacteria, then you're less likely to maybe get this disease. But if you don't have that bacteria, then maybe you could have high blood pressure, for example. And they've correlated some gut bacteria with how well you digest sugar, right? And your insulin response. If you spike or if you don't spike, this can be related to having healthy bacteria. And so my belief now is that an all fruit diet is not healthy for our gut bacteria. It may be healthy in some other ways, because especially what you're not eating. But I encourage you guys to have a diversified diet. Yes, eat fruit. I just had 4 persimmons, the chias, and I mashed them up. They're so jellied right now. It's insane. And I basically mashed that up into about 1/3 of a cup of my grain bowl, which like quinoa and millet and oatmeal and buckwheat and tartan, buckwheat, all kinds of stuff. And then I just put in other, fruits and superfood powders and resistant starch and fiber powders as well. And of course, my Kefir Lab 100 trillion probiotics in there as well, and ate that for breakfast. So, you don't have to just restrict yourself to only fruit. I encourage you guys to open up to the whole new world of different kinds of fibers, different kinds of foods, so that you can have a better gut health and more bacteria, which will make you more resilient in the future to different diseases and bugs, and have a stronger immune system based on the science and based on my beliefs. All right, next question is from Austin Matheson. Can you share what your YouTube RPM is? I want to create a channel based around veganism health, and I'm curious how much I can potentially earn. Thanks much. All right, so my RPM on my okraw channel is 6.42. These are statistics that I really have never really looked up, because I really don't care about my RPM, and I really don't care about how much money this YouTube channel is making me or not. Because if I did, I would not make 45-minute long videos. I would not make half-hour long videos. I'd be making 5 to 10-minute videos and putting a whole lot of shorts and doing a lot of scammy stuff that other raw vegan YouTube channels may be doing. I care about giving you guys solid information. I have a successful business that makes me enough money. I don't need to make money for my YouTube channels, although my channels are monetized, because I'm not going to leave money on the table. That being said, if you guys are going to start a channel, I don't know, I wouldn't want you to make a channel just for the money. I would want you guys to make a channel so that you guys could be real and help share useful information that's going to make a difference in people's lives. Because what you're going to learn in the long run is that, life is not all about money. Yes, we need money, unfortunately, in our current system and society and how it's set up. But, there's a lot more than money. And I think, people do stupid things for money is what I'll say. So yeah, do YouTube because you have a passion and you love this topic. And yeah, the money's a side income. That's great. But, don't quit your real job yet. All right. All right, the last question is actually from BM7654. I live in Southern Virginia. Where can I buy tree collards? Also, any other similar edible annuals that will grow in my area of Virginia? Thanks for the information you provide freely. Good question. So I've been to Virginia. One of my ex-girlfriends used to live out in Norfolk. And, I'd go out there and visit her. But I'm not the expert grower for that side of the country. I know the West Coast really well. East Coast, not my forte. So what I would recommend is a really good book called Perennial Vegetables, A to Z, from like artichoke to zucchini. And it's by Eric Tonesmeyer. I bought this book years ago, and that book has the most kind of perennial vegetable that you literally plant once, and it grows year after year and will provide you food, right? And that's the biggest resource of perennial vegetables. I mean, it was written many years ago, but Eric is an awesome dude. He got me into perennial vegetables. So that's what I'd say for that. And then as to buying tree collards, you know, I'd look up a website called Tree Collard Project, right? They have the most unique varieties of tree collards to buy. I think they sell cuttings. I don't think they sell plants. I would also just look on eBay. And what I encourage you to do is, instead of buying the cuttings, which may be successful or not, I'd encourage you guys to buy the plants. You're going to be a lot more successful at it. It's going to cost more money when you buy them initially, but you're going to have a higher level of success. Tree collards, generally I would think of as an 8B zone or above. Like if you live in like a zone 7, you know, I don't know, you better protect it in the winter. I don't have experience growing it in anything other than a zone 9A, which, you know, they just thrive year round. It is my favorite plant. I always have greens to eat, and especially in the wintertime, the greens get a lot sweeter. And of course, in the summertime, they get a lot stronger due to the plant metabolites the plants are putting out to make them even more anti-cancer. All right, so that's this month's Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed this month's Q&A. If you guys did, hey, please be sure to give this a big thumbs up. More importantly, please share this video with others so that they could get informed about eating a healthy, plant-based, raw, vegan-centered diet. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes. I'll be coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. And make sure you click the little bell to get notified as many videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. Past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 700 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to you guys, all about eating more fresh fruits and vegetables because they're the best. So with that, my name is John Kohler with okraw.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.